So let's come to XAUSD and I show you the three touch point trendline strategy. So you can see I've started on the 4 hour time frame. Yeah. You can see that I first took drawing this trend line here, this highlighted green trend line. Yeah, and you can see it is touching as many touch points as possible. You can see I have the first touch point here, the second touch point here, the third touch point here, and the fourth touch point here. Then also I drew this bearish trend line, this one here. You can see it has over 3 touch points. There's this first touch point, the second touch point is here, and the third one is here. Now the third one is seen very well on the 4 hour, on the 1 hour time frame. Yes. So now, since we have finished drawing the trend lines on the 4 hour time frame, we now go to the lower time frame, which is the 1 hour time frame. But like I said before, that your last touch point on the higher time frame becomes your first touch point on the lower time frame. So let us give you an example. Like if this point was point A, this one was point B, this one was point C, this one was point D. Now this point D, this point D this point D becomes your point A on the 1 hour time frame. So let's go to the 1 hour time frame and then you can see that now this is the point D that I am meaning. This point D. Yes, this point D becomes your first point when you're drawing the trend line on the lower time frame, which is now the H1. So you start by drawing your trend line like that. Yeah. You gather as many touch points as possible. So before price printed, this trend line was like this. Before price has reached where it was like this. You can imagine. Yes. So now I've now extended it to accommodate now the current price, which is like that. So how did I take this trade that you're seeing right now? So you can see that I used the trend line on the 4 hour time frame. So you can see the first touch point is this one. The second touch point is this one. You can see it. Then we have the third touch point at this point. The third touch point is at this point here. You can see it. So there was only a slight retracement and then price broke out. You can see it. But now I didn't take the breakout on price. Because I realized that price had already gone already in my direction for a high number of pips. So I waited for price to retrace. Yes. And you can see there was also kind of manipulation on Friday. This manipulation is what I'm talking about. Yeah, this was manipulation. So what I did is that I waited patiently for the manipulation to end, is when I took the buy setup. But but as soon as I entered for the buy setup at this point, yes, you can see the buy setup at this point. My trend line, my stop loss was at this point. Let me show you. My stop loss was down here. Because remember, price had not yet printed these green candlesticks that you're seeing. These green candlesticks here. Yes, price was still at this point. So I knew that worst case scenario, price is going to come and break my safety line, which is maybe something like this, and then hit me out. Or maybe come back and then hit me out. That's why I put my stop loss down here. You can see my stop loss was around this point here. Yeah, that was before the price printed those green candlesticks. Yeah, so you are going to exit using a criteria. That means that you're going to exit this trade when price breaks your safety line. Now, like I said, that your safety line is this one here, this trend line. You see that? And you can see price even has already taken 3 touch points. So that means when price breaks this safety line, you can even take another setup. You can see we have already 3 touch points here. Yeah. So I'll exit this trade when price, let's say when price maybe moves like this. Let me show you. When price moves like this, and then finally breaks my trend line, let's say at around this point. As soon as price breaks my trend line at this point is when I close that trade. That is your exit criteria. So any strategy which you're learning should have both an entry criteria and an exit criteria. Yes. So this is the three touch point trend line strategy. Yeah, and you can even see it very well even when we come to to Euro USD. Let's start on the daily time frame. You can see Euro USD. I have already drawn this trend line here on the daily time frame. You can see I collected as many touch points as possible. So on the daily time frame, I have this trend line here. So you can see I I have this. Let me draw this very well. So you can see very well that I have I have three touch points here. I have the first touch point here. I have the second touch point here. You can see that I have the second touch point here and I have the third one here. That is for the bullish trend line. You can even color them to green. So now we are now done with the bullish trend line. You can now come to the bearish trend line. So you start at the highest point and get as many touch points as possible. So this trend line here, I got this touch point from here at the peak. You can see the peak is here. The peak is at this point, and then you look for as many touch points as possible. So I have this touch point here. I have the first touch point and the second touch point is here next to the current price. You can see the current price next to the current price. So we are done with the trend lines on the daily time frame. Now we go to the 4-hour time frame. Now, like I said before, that your trend line on the daily time frame becomes your last point on the daily time frame becomes your touch point on your last touch point on the daily time frame becomes your first point on the 4-hour time frame. So you can see, like when you go back to the daily time frame, we have we have these points here. We have point A, we have point A, we have what am I? We have point A here, we have point B here, and we have point C. Now, point C is going to become your first point A on the 4-hour time frame. Yes, which is this. Yes, you can see this. So this point has become my first point. Let me draw it very well. So we come back to the 4-hour time frame. You can see my point D has become my first point. You can see this straight line that I have drawn. Yeah. So I start it on the last point, which is this point here, which is this point, point D. Point D has now become my point A. So you can see we have the first point, the second point, and the third point. Yes. So this trend line here, this highlighted trend line is the trend line on the 4-hour time frame. This one. Yes. So that is the trend line. Uh since there is no other bearish trend line we can draw on the 4-hour, it is fine. So what am I going to do when I see the setup? So you can see I already have three touch points on the 4-hour time frame for this bullish trend line here. So if price comes like this, if price comes like this and then finally breaks out, something of this sort, finally breaks out, I will take the sell, and this trend line will become my safety point, my safety line, my safety trend line. This bearish trend line here, because you can see it. So if I take this the if price breaks out of this bearish trend line to the downside, my 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 safety line will be this red trend line here. So let's say if price moves like this and breaks out, this one here will become my safety line. Yeah. So that means that if price comes back and breaks out of this trend line, I close the trade. You get? So that is it. I hope it has made some sense around.